Hello everybody and welcome to Mark Goldbridge, going for Goldbridge. God, it's been so long. It's been so long since we've done one of these, and I'm just going to freestyle it actually. There's a lot I want to talk about today, but I am going to freestyle it and we'll wander off where it wanders to. But good to be back. If you want more of them, subscribe, smash a like on the video. But look, what I want to start off talking about really is just to delve into what has been a ridiculously oppressive last few months for probably nearly everybody. You know, back in the start of the year 2020, there's all the jokes about 2020, but the reality is the start of 2020, you're sat there tucking into your Christmas dinner, you're popping off your fireworks on New Year's Eve, you've got all these plans about all these things you want to do, and within literally you barely took your Christmas decorations down. There's this thing happening in China, and a few weeks later we're all in a ridiculous lockdown that, no, not ridiculous, a reality lockdown that is unprecedented in most people's lives. And we've had to deal with that. And the mental strain on that for a lot of people has been very, very serious, as we've all seen. And now we're starting to come out of it, but there's always that. It's like recovering from a serious illness, isn't it? I mean, I'm not limiting a serious illness. That's very, very serious. But I think what has happened to society is that now we know that this can happen anytime. Whereas I think before it was like, oh, remember that swine flu? Remember the one, Ebola? It never really happened. We've now had this breakout worldwide that can just basically shut everything down. And that's a very sobering thought for many people. It's a very sobering thought anyway, because the pubs have been shut. But in seriousness, it's a very sobering thing. So look, I think that it's very important to acknowledge that the year has been a big, unprecedented year for everybody. And that's going to have an impact. And I just think that, look, very, very quickly, let me get into this. When I tweet out that I'm not feeling very good at the moment or anything like that, I always do it with a feeling of guilt. And I think guilt is a big part of depression, because I do it because, you know, whether I want to acknowledge it or not, I have a certain amount of people who watch the United Stand, watch the things I do, follow me on social media. So there is, you know, even if you've got 10 people following you, even if, you know, fuck it, forget social media, you might have family or friends, 2 or 3 people. You should still tell them. And by talking about it, you might help somebody else. Because my big fear about mental health and depression has always been that it's the people who say nothing. It's the people who bottle it up. They're the ones you need to worry about. And look, the reality is, even the people just talking about it doesn't make it go away, by the way. It doesn't make it go away, but it's the best way that people can help you, reach out to you, talk to you. And I think that, you know, for me last week, just to give you an insight into it, when I put that tweet out there, I felt guilty. I always feel guilty when I tell people about it, because I'm like, ugh, you know, I haven't got anything as far as I know. I mean, we're all dying. That's the bottom line. But I don't know of anything that's imminent. You know, job security's okay compared to most. Family life's fantastic. Friends, everything. But I just woke up last Tuesday. And for me, I think I know what it was. But I just woke up last Tuesday. And I can tell you now, it's like this tiredness behind my eyes. It's not tiredness from sleep. It's fatigue behind the eyes. It's a fog in the brain. It's an emptiness around here. It's a black cloud over your head, and there is no reason for it at all. And I've had this before. I used to get it quite often on a Sunday, and I figured out why. And I had it really bad last Tuesday for next to no reason at all, and I couldn't shake it. I went out on a walk for an hour and a half. I was, you know, trying to do things I enjoyed. I couldn't shake it. It's dragging me down, and the guilt adds to it, because you're like, I can't shake this off. It's not a headache. It's not a let's go and laugh at an Only Fools and Horses episode. It's a feeling. And it's not gone the next day. It dilutes itself. It's a little bit better the next day. And by the end of the week, it's almost gone. But it's all encompassing. It devours you. It owns you. And I can only imagine what it's like for these people who have it every day, or worse than that. I'm not, you know, I don't consider myself that I need to go to a doctor or anything like that. I think I've got a good network of friends and family and people around me, and I acknowledge it, and I have a huge amount of guilt around it, because I feel like, well, what is it? But then the brain is a cocktail, isn't it? It's a cocktail. It's whatever cocktail you want to be. We're all built up on different things, and these things can have a big impact. You know, for me, I've thought about it this week. What are the things that grab me? And I think injustice is a big thing. I think it really, really riles me, and always has done. You know, injustice, fairness, bullying. Bullying is something that really bothers me. You know, I think about playing football, and I've probably told this story before. We used to play football at lunchtime at primary school. And, I don't know whether anybody else feels like this, but, we are defined by everything that's happened for us before. I often find myself thinking back to things that 20, 30 years ago, and they make me cringe. I mean, how can you remember this? I remember once, being down the local park, and everyone used to hang around the local park, and it was the popular place to be. And everyone was talking, and I started talking, and I wasn't particularly loud in them days. And I went, and then somebody mocked me, and I went, oh yeah, what's that name I know? Winner. And it sounds really stupid, but everyone laughed. They were like, what's that name I know? He doesn't even know what name to call people. I think about it now, and it makes me cringe. Even though that's 30 years ago, and I'm not that person anymore, it makes me cringe. Events of the past can impact on you. And I think about bullies, and I think about playing football, and I think about, I remember one particular game we'd lost 2-1. I'm very competitive. At the weekend I was training the team that I train with, and they're all around sort of 10, 11. I was in goal because me and another guy were in goal because we didn't have any goalkeepers, so this free kick was hit by this 11-year-old. Brilliant free kick over the bar, going towards the top corner. I dived and tipped it over the bar. And I was so happy with myself, and I looked at all the parents on the sideline and the person who did the free kick, and they're just gobsmacked. They're like, what's he pulling out Prime De Gea for? That's going in the top corner. It's going to be the goal of the month in training, and I've just gone and dived and tipped it over. Like, it's a fantastic save, and I'm jumping up happy with myself. And then the competitive streak streams away, and I'm like, I've just dived across the goal and tipped it over the top from the top corner from what would have been that child's moment in training. And I was like, yeah, that some things, they just grab hold of you, don't they? And I remember coming off a game, we'd lost 2-1 at lunchtime, and I was arguing a little bit, and one of my mates was like arguing one of these lads. We were probably 8. These lads were 11. And they basically shoved him over and laughed. So I went up to them, kicked one in the shins, and got beat up. But I'd rather get beat up than have a bullying incident. I just can't. I can't deal with that. So we're all part of that. We're all part of these things that drive us. For me, loyalty. I don't like bullying or an injustice. I'm competitive, and that makes up a big part of what I am. What makes up a big part of you. But these things frustrate you, these things define you, these things make you happy, and these things all live in your head. And one thing I would always say is that you cannot, you're very fortunate, in fact, because I can't, you're very fortunate if you can control your moods, if you can control how you're going to be. I wake up most mornings tired, get in the shower, and it's a battle to just get the head into gear for the day. And I've had that for years. And, I've got, so many things that I'm very grateful for. I don't have regrets. I think they're a waste of time. I'd love to have played for Manchester United. I'd love to have played for Liverpool, to be honest. I'd love to have played for Arsenal. And people go, oh, you're not a proper United fan. Bollocks. I wanted to be a professional footballer. John Terry's a Manchester United fan. He captained Chelsea. He's one of their greatest ever players. If you'd have given me Premier League footballer, I would have bloody took it for any club. It's never going to happen. People say dreams can come true. They can't. I'll never be a Premier League footballer. I wanted to be in a band when I was in my late teens. I'm never going to be in a band. I'm never going to sing in front of 100,000 people. I'm never going to have a number one album. Reality bites, and that's very, very, very important as well. But I don't have regrets about those things because I look at all the good things that have happened. Mainly for me, I love doing the United Stand and the YouTube stuff. It's good fun. I enjoy doing it. But the big things for me are the family, the friends, and the real things around what I do. So I've got lots to be happy about, but lots of people have all that, and lots of people struggle with it. So I suppose in a very convoluted way, what I'm trying to say is we've all come through a very difficult period over the last few months, and I genuinely have not felt so tired in my life, and I think it's oppression. I think it is oppression of a situation that is uncertain, is grinding, and I feel it now. It's there, and because I can feel it behind there. It's not my eyes that are tired. It's not I need to have a sleep. It's a body tired, and I think that it's there. And I think like last Tuesday. I mean, I've never had this with the United Stand. Just tell you, I've always relished doing videos. I mean, sometimes it's a bit galling when it's like you're just settling down to watch a film and you get a phone call to say this is going to happen. You need to react to it, which is few and far between and is exciting. But I found myself last week. I was like the 8 o'clock shows a couple of times. I was just like, it was like running a marathon to, actually get ready to do it. And that's something I enjoy. And I was like, that scared me. I was out with the wife at the weekend, and I was like, that scared me. And I've said it to few people. I've been doing this for 5 years, and that scared me, that I was that tired and fatigued and lost, that I was like, I couldn't enjoy. And it's not, I'm what I'm saying is not a job. I love doing the United Stand, especially the 8 o'clock shows. I love, watching a good film. I love watching a good TV series. I love getting a bit of exercise, and it just wouldn't shift. So look, you're not alone. You're not alone if you have that, and you might have a very diluted version of that. You might have a very, expanded experience of that. But you're not alone. You've got to talk to people. And as I said, I feel guilty about it. I feel guilty about talking about it. But and maybe I don't know where that guilt comes from. Well, I do. I just think I feel like, I've got no right to feel like that. But at the same time, I can't control it, and people can't control it. But without a shadow of a doubt, the best thing you can do is acknowledge it. Even if you can't understand it, is acknowledge it. Talk to people about it. Be open about it. Because I dread to think what happens if you just bottle it up and you don't tell people, because then you're going to start blaming yourself. You're going to start letting it, descend into levels that, no one wants to go to. So, yeah, difficult times, acknowledge them. If you're fortunate enough never to have this thing, great. I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't. I was telling a story the other day to somebody about how, it's good to be the person that can help with advice, but I remember, I'll tell you the story. I was working with somebody, and they were just very, very good, very, very calm. They always had any situation, they were very, very good in it. And then just one day I was talking about a situation in my family, and I was like, it's difficult. I don't know whether to believe this side, or I haven't spoken to this person in a long time, but this person says they're bad. And this person said to me, look, at the end of the day, I had a very similar situation. I listened to that person and didn't talk to that person. That person's now dead. And now they're dead. I've spoken to people around that, and that person was the good person. And this person who was telling me that person was bad was actually the bad person. And I'll never be able to resolve that. And this person, I'd never knew that they had issues like that. They'd always been the problem solver, and yet they were carrying around this big problem. So, everyone wears armour, I think. You never know what the injuries are under that armour. And I think it does a lot of people a lot of good to remove that armour, show your wounds, and let somebody heal them for you. So, a little bit deep, but I think it's very, very true. And also, what I must say as well is that this I'm a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites. I think wandering into a new area here, I think that I always say, I can't stand people who act like their farts don't smell. It's like this, I can't remember what they call it on social media, but blame culture. It's got a proper word, and basically it means something happens and everyone jumps on it because everyone wants to feel self-righteous. Look at the Harry Maguire thing or something like that. Oh, last week we liked Harry. Now look at him. He's made a mistake. Let's jump on him. It's sort of like what the mainstream media has done for years. I've grown up with this in the UK. You build someone up and then you chop their legs off and you leave them in the gutter. But this is now expanded into social media. You see it all the time. People are bloodthirsty. They're like sharks. They want to go in on somebody. I'm not going to name a name, but if you think about somebody who's very popular at the moment, I think that if they see one little gap in their armour to get at them, they'll go at them and they'll stick the knife in, because we've descended into that. And I think a lot of it comes from that we've lost the ability to understand that we're all hypocrites. It's like this mindset that we all do everything right. So if somebody makes a mistake, nobody can acknowledge it. The first thing I thought about that Harry Maguire incident was that, I remember being out in a pub, out on a night out in Dublin, and it was my 23rd birthday, I think, and we were at this pub under Tara Street Station in Dublin, and it's got this upstairs bit, and it's very, dark and atmospheric. And I remember I've probably put the t-shirt. If you check my Instagram, the t-shirt's there's probably the post there where I've got a 2 and a 3 sticker on, and we're drinking tequila. And I used to smoke in them days and drink. We all make mistakes when we're younger. And I just got, look, talking about mental health again, I just got into this dark place. I think the girlfriend I was with at the time wasn't my wife, but I think I was sort of seeing wife on the side, or we were just, my head was in a bit of a space, and I think the girl I was with at the time probably picked up on that, so she was off, I don't know whether she was or not, but to me, I was getting drunk. I probably resented that relationship. I wanted to be with the other, with the person I was starting to build something with, and then saw her over talking to some of the lads that were part of our group anyway, and it was probably just an innocent group. Started getting a little bit gobby. It ended up with me, just being a complete and utter dick. Complete and utter dick. I remember at one point picking up a stool, smashing it up against the wall. People who were my friends ended up, getting into a fight with them. It's just absolutely ridiculous behaviour and I don't like violence. I didn't even like violence then. But the drink and everything and the situation and the emotion ended up being an absolute twat. And again, I feel cringy about that now. It's like a long time ago. It's 15 to 20 years ago. And I look at it and I don't know whether you're like this. I can spend time going back to incidents, living it vividly. Actually, it's like putting on a jacket. I can go back to things and put the emotions on. I remember like my mum and dad had split up, and I remember, I never used to like going to my dad's, which is a bit unfair really, because I have a good relationship with him now. But I think when you're a kid and you have to go to your dad's at the weekend and all your mates are at home, you resent that. And also you get, lots of voices in your head as a kid telling you things that maybe are true or aren't true, but it's unfair on you as a kid to carry that. So I used to go to my dad's at the weekend, and I remember at Christmas one time we'd been to my dad's at the weekend. Maybe Christmas Eve was a Monday, so he dropped us off on the Sunday at my gran and granddad's house. And I just remember, it's ridiculous, I was probably about 6 or 7. And I remember just my gran opening the door, and behind her was this picture, and she'd put fairy lights across the top of it. And I love fairy lights. If you could buy me, if I can have on a Christmas tree that, and I'm talking about the really fluorescent blue, green, pink, flashy things. I love them, and I know where that comes from, because it's that memory that I can go back to. I can go back to my gran, who's no longer around anymore, opening the door and me seeing the lights there, and I was 6 or 7. I'm sure we can all do this, but we all go back to these moments that are, I can live them. I can go back into them. Nostalgia is a big thing, isn't it? It's why we all buy old computer games or old shirts and things like that. Nostalgia is a big thing for us. And, I go back to that and I think, well, go back to the Harry Maguire thing. He's out in Greece, probably had a few drinks, something happens, he gets emotional, we're all human. And I think I go back to that, well, he's 27, I was 23. There's not a big difference. There's a bigger difference between Harry Maguire now and me. So if I'm critical of Harry Maguire now and there's a big age difference, but I take myself back to 23, 4 years between me and Harry Maguire, and I'm in a pub fighting with people and chucking things against the wall and acting like a complete and utter dickhead, I think, well, you know what? We're back where I started. Why do people act like the farts don't smell? Why do people say that, they're not hypocrites? Well, we all do things. And age is not important. I could do something silly tomorrow, last week, whatever. But the world is sort of going that way, isn't it? Whereby, everyone wants to criticise somebody, and yet they act like, I think, look, I'm not going in on Piers Morgan at all. I think, his behaviour over lockdown I found quite galling, but you know what, he says a lot of good stuff and he says a lot of silly things, and maybe it's all part of the act. But for example, if Piers Morgan is critical of something, are you telling me that in the 50 something years he's been on the planet, he's never done something that everybody would actually go in on him with? Hypocrisy is everywhere, and I just feel that we are now living in a world where this blame culture is sort of taking over. It's like, oh, look at what they've done now, let's everybody jump on that, like their farts don't smell, when everybody's made mistakes. Everybody has made a mistake, and it always worries me. It's ridiculous really. I'm not getting political here, but like if you think about the government of whatever country you are, you could have one of the best leaders in the world, and then a story comes out that when they were 19 they smoked a bit of cannabis, they've got to retire. Should that happen? No, not for me, because if they're brilliant at their job and they've made a mistake when they were younger, like maybe 20, 30 years ago before they've done this job, should they have to retire? If they've put a tweet out 15 years ago that's, as long as it's not racist, sexist or anything like that, but just a stupid opinion on something that's just stupid, but the media get hold of it and go, look at this idiot. Oh, I'm really sorry, everyone, I've got to go. And you think, well, actually, they were brilliant at their job, and they're losing their job because of something that happened a long time ago that everyone goes, oh, that's ridiculous, get rid of him. And I was talking about this probably about 18 months ago. I was like, how many good people who are brilliant at what they do lose their job because of a mistake in the past, because we all just have to jump on it and go, that's ridiculous, like we haven't got skeletons in our own closet. It's I just wish the world was a little bit more forgiving, and not on the big issues. Not on the big issues. I think if you do, I've spoken about this before. Homophobia, sexism, racism, whatever you want to say it. There's a rehabilitation there. If you've got those tendencies, then they need to be addressed. But I do. I always say second chances are very important, and I sort of live my life by that, because I do believe in rehabilitation and I do believe in second chances, but I don't think we're living in a world at the moment where that actually is a prominent stance. I think most people just seem to jump on bandwagons of hate now. And look, taking it down to its very simple sense, I suppose, look, when I see it sometimes where I've said something maybe 6 months, a year ago about a footballer. I mean, look, Virgil van Dijk's the best. He signed for Liverpool for 75 million and I said he's a Dutch Chris Smalling. And then over the last year, I've said, what a player, he's the best centre-back in the world. And then you'll get somebody pulling out the Chris Smalling thing. And I embrace that, because I think, you know what? I love that. I absolutely love that 2 or 3 years ago I said he's the Dutch Chris Smalling. And then now I'm saying he's the best centre-back in the world. But people will go, look at him, he's a hypocrite. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get into an argument on social media, but I'm proud of it, because what it shows is that I thought that, and through evidence I've changed my mind. And that's brilliant. Because what I could continue to do, which I think is more idiotic, to say, no, he's not the best centre-back in the world, he is still a Dutch Chris Smalling. What do people want? Like, opinion has to change, otherwise you're just a robot. You may as well be on that bloody Will Smith film, I, Robot. You're just a robot. If you can't change your opinions, is that not the brilliance of humans? That we can change our opinions. And our opinions can change, which is why rehabilitation is important, because people can change. Through education, people can change. And football's always a great example, because I think it has parallels in politics and love and everything. And if you can look at a footballer like Nemanja Matic at Manchester United, who I thought was crap last year, absolutely rubbish, called him static Matic, bag of cement. This year, I think he's been really good. He's not proved me wrong, but what's happened is I've changed my opinion based on evidence. Last year, I thought he was absolutely shite. This year, he's been brilliant. And now I say, he's a good player. I can't believe he's turned it around, but he has. Well done. I've changed an opinion. You'll get somebody saying, yeah, but last year you said he was crap. And it's a little bit like, you know what? I put a tweet out about this the other day. We were out for a day out, right? And family day out, fantastic. This was 2 days after I'd felt rubbish. Loved it. Brilliant. Escapism, out, walking around as a family, fantastic. You've got to wear a mask. We've only got one mask. So the wife goes, I'll go and get the ice creams. I'm like, I'll pay for it, because the kids all want different things. And I saw the poster and I went, oh, I haven't had one of these in ages. Can I have a chocolate feast? She goes, yeah, I'll go in. You go in. I'm like the kid. Can I have a chocolate feast, please? Even though, I'm a little bit older than a kid now. And she came out, she went, they don't have any chocolate feast, so I got you a white Magnum. And I was like, okay, because I really wanted a chocolate feast. I'm rubbish when I get my mind on something. And I remember being ill years ago, probably when, again, I'm going to give a flashback. I was about 9 years of age. I was really ill. Like when you're ill when you're a kid, like you don't really get it when you're older, where you absolutely feel like shit. You're not throwing up or shitting yourself, but like the flu-y sort of symptoms, temperature and that. And I really wanted a bowl of Ready-Brek and a packet of midget gems, Lions midget gems, if anyone knows what they are. And I ended up with a bowl of cornflakes and a packet of Rolos. And I was just like, it's not good. It's not. I wanted something else. So I wanted the chocolate feast, but came out with a white Magnum. And I was like, actually, I mentally smacked myself in the head and went, look, don't be a child. Have the white chocolate Magnum. I ate it and I didn't like it. I was like, I used to really like white chocolate Magnums. I don't like them now. Which means I don't like white chocolate anymore. I just didn't find it enjoyable. If it had been a almond milk chocolate Magnum, I would have loved it. If it had been the raspberry ripple one, I would have loved it. But the white chocolate one, the white chocolate just doesn't do it for me anymore. 10 years ago, I would have loved it. Oh no, what's happened there? My palate's changed. Just like an opinion can change. 10 years ago, I liked white chocolate. Now I don't like it. Why is that? Something in me has changed. My taste has changed. My palate's changed. So of course your opinion can change. The whole point of life is it changes. And that takes me back to it. You know, you go back in your past and you start beating yourself up about things. It concerns me mentally that I can go back to so many things and put that coat of emotion on. I can go back to things and remember exactly. I can think about things that I've said in classrooms or at work, or you know, those cringy moments, and I can think about them and I can feel that moment. And that's because everything scars you from the past, good and bad. But it doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to define you, because you got to make new memories. I was watching The Office. I finished The Office now, so I can mention it. It's taken me 3 years to watch every episode of The Office, the US Office, because there's so many of them. And there was such a good line in the last episode, and it was something along the lines of, when I was working at this place, I was like always thinking about my last job, the good times at my last job, and you know, pining for that. And now I've left here, I actually miss here and think of all the good times I had here. And I just wish in life that somebody actually tapped you on the shoulder and told you the life that you're living at the moment is the good times that you're going to remember in the next few years. And that is so true. It makes me get goosebumps. It's so true. I think throughout my life, I look back at, you know, Ireland defined me. The 3.5 years I lived in Ireland defined me. And I always look back at it as the good times. And it probably was the best time. But I also look back to 3 or 4 years ago when we moved into this house and we started the United Stand. But I think back 2 years before that, when, you know, money was a bit tight, you know, different job, hadn't even started the United Stand. But I think back to that, I think, well, that was good times. And then I think, well, actually, now, today is probably the good times as well. And it goes back to it, isn't it? Just grab the moment. Don't be guilty about how you're feeling unless you've done something wrong. And, you know, just try and be open and be the best you can be. I think the world's so full of bullies, arseholes, people who act like their farts don't smell, people who want to mock you because you've changed your opinion, arseholes, trolls. There's so many out there. But you know, those people, they must be the people who are absolutely being eaten up inside. You know, to be like that, imagine what their day-to-day life is. Whereas most of us are just good people who struggle with the oppression of life itself and what we're thrown at. We get it from so many different areas. You should think this, you should do that, you should feel guilty about that. I think anybody in this world is going to have some level of mental struggle. But don't be those bad people, because imagine what they feel. I hope this made sense. I hope some of this has. It's probably been very good therapy for me in a way. But thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. We'll be back with more of these. If you subscribe, smash a like. If you like it, I'll do more. I want to get back to answering your questions, but I just felt like we hadn't done this for a long time. Let's do one. Let's see how it feels. And, you know, as ever, I'm grateful for anybody who watches, if anybody watches, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.